Hello, hello.
Hello guys.
Hello, good morning. We are here again, back to our studio, VFC channel here in London, England. And today I have beside me Migs from Digi Trouble.
Digi Travels, baby.
And also we have one of our guests which will be in hot seat today. One of the famous social media influencer, a well-known DDS supporter or member, Mr. Malcom Conlan.
I'm so excited. I don't have a clue what you're going to ask me. I'm really looking forward to being here. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat. Let's kick this off.
Walang anuman.
Walang anuman.
Just say hello to all of our overseas workers as well.
Yeah, before we carry on or continue with our program or questioning Mr. Malcom, we just want to greet our viewers from the Philippines, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Magandang araw! Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat dyan! Lahat sa inyo na nakikinig, nanonood.
Hello guys!
Kababayan natin sa mga OFW, sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Ang alam ito sa Middle East, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, Canada, sa America. At syempre mga viewers natin dito sa Europe, mga viewers natin sa Singapore, and also Australia, Japan. Ay, kumusta po kayo lahat dyan?
Make sure you write in the comments where you are in the world. We want to hear.
That's right. Follow us on Facebook and sana subscribe kayo sa aming YouTube channel para pagka may bago kami video ay nanonotify po kayo lahat. Well. Let's start.
Let's get
with our guest, Mr. Malcom Conlan. We all know, the social media know, that you are an avid supporter of the President of the Philippines, President Duterte. What makes you very passionate to the Philippines?
I'm a supporter of the Philippines, per se. I've been to the Philippines more than 55 times. Over some 28 to 30 years. I started off as a massive fan of Miss Saigon, and of course Miss Saigon has done so much for Filipinos across the world in terms of, if you like, kind of kick-starting a lot of people's lives, a lot of people's careers, you know, Lea Salonga, Monique Wilson, Isaiah Senna, Robert Senna, so many families, so many people have been influenced by Miss Saigon.
When did you actually get involved in politics of the Philippines? Getting involved in politics?
So as I said, I've been involved in culture for about 28 years. I first visited the Philippines when I was about 18 or 19, and that was my first visit. And in those days, I saw a lot of poverty, a lot of homeless people on the streets, a lot more than you see now. A lot of my first memory was a young kid who was running in and out of the traffic, begging, nearly getting running over, and that broke my heart.
During the 20 years before, you were not as visible as you are now, during the time of the terror. What makes you visible now, and that you were not visible before?
So, I guess I've been involved in promoting Philippine culture now for quite a long time, probably going about 15 years ago. I had a Filipino events website called philevent.com. And as a result of that, I connected with the embassy. I'm very grateful to have met the two previous presidents, President Aquino and President Gloria as well.
Did you?
And obviously then having had that opportunity, I had an interest in politics. But I spent a lot of, I don't like listening to others, I like to go on YouTube and research myself. The press will tell you a lot, CNN will tell you a lot, the newspapers will say a lot. But the thing to do is to research, and I've spent many hours researching for myself. I don't believe the lies of the yellow press, the yellow media. I research myself, and I've grown to love what President Duterte is doing, and that's the start.
So you are admitting that you were a member of the DDS, or what we call
die-hard supporter. You know, this is very controversial because I've said so many times I can't be a member of any DDS group. I do support DDS groups around the world. In fact, I'm the manager of the DDS New York page, but I don't I don't align myself to DDS groups, but I certainly support DDS per se. So in fact, it was the UK DDS inviting me to a rally in Hyde Park a few years back, and that's what got me involved. So I'm very, very grateful to the work that they do.
What particular policy of the president that makes you supporters that hard? Any particular policies?
Where shall I start? You know, before President Duterte, there was a massive amount of crime in the Philippines. Murder, rape, carjacking, so many people addicted to shabu, so much crime, so many terrible things you heard about. I've heard so many people have told me that every single barangay, there were people selling drugs, selling drugs to kids. And of course, shabu is a particularly nasty drug that changes the mindset. And of course, as President Duterte said, if you give drugs to my children, I'll kill you. It doesn't mean he's literally going to go around shooting people.
Just for verification for the UK audience here as well, what is shabu in terms of drugs?
Crystal meth.
It's crystal meth, isn't it?
And it has some mind-altering properties. I watched a documentary once in the UK of some Scottish woman, a tiny little woman, when she was under the influence of crystal meth, she had to be held down by 8 police officers.
8 people.
And was in a violent rage.
8 people.
This was in the UK.
Yeah?
Yes, it's in the UK.
Well, the president, his policy on the war on drugs, according to the latest number, the mainstream media and even the human rights, the figure that they're given is now 20,000 killings, including vigilante style. Do you think the president is somehow involved in that?
You said 20,000?
That's what's the mainstream media said.
So is that what they've said today? Because last week they were saying 30,000. The UN was saying 12,000. The EU was saying 7,000. Now officially, the Times have said another figure. The Guardian have said another figure. The Daily Mail have said another figure. Basically, they make it up as they go along.
Regardless of the number, Mr. Malcom.
But this is the point.
Regardless of the number, my question is, do you believe that somehow the president of the Philippines is involved in this EJK?
I don't like to use the terminology EJK. It's a very controversial terminology. The fact is, for EJK, it means it needs to be state-sponsored. And of course, the president isn't giving any money to anybody to kill anybody. Nobody, not even one person, has been killed by the state. But yes, there have been people who've lost their lives in the war on drugs. And this is people who maybe fight against the police, fight against the PNP. But let's also look at the lives that have been lost in the PNP, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Let's look at the other side. We don't hear about that. And yes, there have been mistakes. I don't deny that. There have been young people who've been killed in that crossfire, in the line of fire, and that's regrettable. But in any war, there will be casualties. And the fact is there were 4 million drug addicts. Now that's halved. Now there's so much rehabilitation. And what's the president supposed to do? Leave the 4 million drug addicts? What did the previous administration do? Why didn't they deal with this? Why is it left to President Duterte? What's he supposed to do? Sit back and watch the country go into the dogs? Or he needs to take action, and President Duterte's decided to take action, and this action has led to a better Philippines.
So would you say that it's successful, the campaign on the war on drugs, in comparison to, America waged war on drugs as well? So do you think his campaign is kind of successful, in your opinion?
Yes, because there's no longer people openly selling shabu in the barangay. People are scared to sell drugs, which means the supply chain of drugs has been reduced. But it also means that people know the president means business. There's less corruption. There's so many organizations who rely on drugs as a form of income involved with corruption, and that's been reduced. Any whiff of corruption, the president immediately sacks the whole department. He even closed down the lottery for a couple of days because he heard there was a whiff of corruption in that as well.
Correct.
So he's a president who means business.
And corruption was notoriously known in the Philippines to be very damaging. So there was a lot of money going into projects, and the projects were never completed, right?
That's right, actually.
Completely right. A lot of buildings that weren't very sort of good structurally. A lot of money went into phantom projects that never were going to take place.
Like roads and railways and
yeah,
stuff.
exactly right. Cracks in roads, even crack in the airport.
According to the world ranking, the Philippines is number 3
In the whole
most corrupt country
in the whole world.
in the whole world before President Duterte. But now, I think we are elevated to far away from where we are before.
Completely.
Completely.
But the thing is, the president doesn't have an unlimited amount of time. I believe he has about 3 years left, under 3 years left
Yeah, that's correct,
in his administration. But the fact is, he's building seeds for change, and this is the good thing.
Well, the Duterte critics, as we all know, we have the very famous Antonio Trillanes, Laila de Lima, or Senator Risa Hontiveros, the Aquinos. Do you think they are fair in criticizing the president?
You know, politics is a funny game. You know, everyone wants to be president.
Do you think the media is fair to the president?
There is definitely biased media, and it's not for me to discuss biased media. I don't get involved in that. It's not something I'm going to do. It's not something I'm going to talk about. But what I would say is there are people who make money out of publishing key headlines. For example, if you said President Duterte improved the health of children, President Duterte put millions of pounds into schools, nobody's going to be interested. If you say President Duterte is a killer or war on drugs, you sell loads of newspapers, you know, that's the problem. And by saying all these bad things, people will like to hear about a rogue or something like that. And this is the angle of the press, but it's damaging not only for for the country, but it's also damaging for OFWs, because if people say, oh, your president's a killer, absolute rubbish. But the problem is, some people believe those lies, and this is the problem. And the lies are being propagated by the people that you've mentioned. You know, even the higher officials in the land going to the UN and making videos saying, look at this, look at all the killings and everything else. You know, this is the problem, and this needs to stop. I believe the Philippines should be united. You know, the Philippine president was democratically elected by almost 20 million Filipinos. And democracy is so important, and the people should respect that.
The Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church.
Let's talk about the Catholic Church. They are very critical with the president. They even called him idiot. Right. And they even they called him names, you know. Do you think that's fair? And do you think the president is justified in lashing out at them?
You know, I think there's good and bad in everyone. Good and bad in every religion, you know, and good and bad in politics and everything else. But I think, you know, you can't criticize others if you've got issues yourself. As they say, you should clean up your own backyard before you clean up the backyard of others. And the Catholic Church, you know, I've met some very nice priests, you know, there's some very committed Christians, and I'm not going to talk about religion. I'm not going to criticize religion. But what I would say is, you know, I saw a launch of the Liberal Party program for this year. It was launched within a church. Now, as far as I'm concerned, they say there's two things you never discuss, religion and politics, particularly together. Politics should play no part in religion and vice versa. In the Constitution, the church was separated from state, and yet the Catholic Church still has a big influence. Remember back to the days of Gloria, where the Catholic Church wanted all these SUVs for themselves. You know, you look at some religions and they're humble people in just flip-flops and clothes, and you look at the Catholic Church, there's a lot of very rich people, a lot of people making money out of the country, and this is the problem. And income streams have been reduced rightly under President Duterte. And of course the Catholic Church are angry now. As the president once said, you know, you go to prayers on Sunday, you give maybe 10, 20 pesos into the collection bucket. But you look at all those millions and millions of pesos, I'm right in believing that the Manila Diocese is one of the richest institutions in the entire world. And yet there's people who can't even afford 3 meals a day. And this has to change. So before the Catholic Church criticize the president, they do need to look at their own behavior, and I won't even go into that, but you know.
Putting aside this EJK, war on drugs, these issues about the Catholic Church, the Philippine economy, is there any changes, do you think?
Massively. I'm very grateful to the Philippine government for allowing me to attend the Build program that I attended last December 2017 in the Conrad Hotel in the Philippines. And I watched all the economic kind of outlook, and they said that the poverty rate has gone down by 14% since 14%. President Duterte came into office. You know, there's less corruption, free kidney dialysis, improvements in education, improvements for OFWs, OFW Bank. You know, instead of OFWs having to pay all these different fees for all these different services, there's the OFW one-stop shop. There have been a number of massive improvements in the country, and the problem is there's still some who are going to criticise a president who's a humble man. He's not a man lying on a red carpet. He's not a man who travels business class. He's a man who waits to be searched like everybody else as he goes through the airport, who wants to eat in Jollibee, who wants to eat in the mall, is a humble family man who just wants to improve the lives of Filipinos.
Yeah, I heard he turned the presidential helicopter into an air ambulance as well. Yeah, so he's also.
I haven't heard that, but that's fantastic. You know, but what I also like is, you know, in other parts of the Philippines, the name of the mayor would be on the ambulance. But in Davao, of course, where the Duterte family have been in office for a very long time, there is no mayor this, mayor that. There's nothing on the school. This wall is sponsored by the mayor. It's just the government, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, you know, the Philippines has a lot more to catch up with its neighboring countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Korea. And surely that 2.5 years left for the Duterte administration is not enough. We need continuity. Who do you think can continue that? You answer that after a break. 2.5 years, I think, is not enough for the Philippines to catch up with our neighboring countries. Surely, we need continuity. Who do you think is suitable to continue the policy of the current administration?
Well, it's a very hard job, isn't it? You know, the fact is it's not easy to take on such a massive responsibility. The Philippines at the moment is definitely going in the right direction. It's getting a lot more international interest. There's a lot of OFWs who've never been so happy. I've even seen so many OFW parties for the president. I haven't seen this in previous administrations. But the fact is the president can't remain in office already. He's already said at the end of his term, he won't be going for another term. He's just going to sit back. He's going to retire. He's going to relax with his family. You know, it takes somebody, I would say we definitely can't have any more yellows. You know, that can never happen again. That's one thing.
Do you like the Marcoses?
Can if I just come back to the point of who do I think be the next president, I'd like to see Inday Sara Duterte. This is my bet for the next president of the Republic of the Philippines. Some people have said maybe she will, maybe she won't. I know there's a lot of discussions over that, but I think either her or somebody who's pro-Duterte, somebody who's pro-administration, and somebody who will continue the excellent work that President Duterte has done.
Do you think the Marcos can do that?
See, what I would say is, previously I listened to fake news and I listened to fake press, and previously I only heard bad stories. But of course now with social media we've seen the real truth and we've seen what's really happening. You know, it's very easy for the government to sort of lie to you, if you like, which was what's happening in the past. But what I would say is you only have to look at what the Marcoses have achieved in terms of infrastructure. They built the Philippine General Hospital, the PICC, buildings that are still standing now.
Correct.
You look at the administrations in later years and you've got a crack in the other airport, whereas you look at the work that Marcos did and they're still standing strong. You know, I don't know enough about that time, so I can't really comment. But all I can say is, you know, the country's going in the right direction, and you know, there's good and bad in every single person. But I think the country's going the right way. And yes, I would like to meet the Marcos family. I'm very interested in what they're trying to achieve.
Of course, yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Hopefully, Mr. Marcos or the lovely senator, I mean Marcos, will give us some time to see them someday. Right.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to bring it back to the war on drugs. So different countries are bringing in the use of medical marijuana and CBD, which has some medicinal value. Do you think it would have been a better approach to legalize drugs and regulate it within the Philippines?
There's no way on earth that you can regularize Shabu. There's no way on earth that you can make crystal meth legal because it alters the mind. With the medicinal cannabis, yes. You've seen people with Parkinson's, and when they have it, I watched the YouTube videos and they're shaking, all these other things, they're completely calm. You know, I believe there is a benefit in medical marijuana, medical cannabis, and I hope it is legalized because it provides a legitimate income for people, and it means that it reduces crime. You know, people won't need to steal to get hold of it; they can get it through prescription.
And
so
the drug gangs as well.
The drug gangs. You know, you're never going to stop drugs because drugs is a way of a livelihood for a lot of people. You only look at all these young people in the UK. They see it on Instagram. They see this. You can make lots of money out of drugs. You can have fast cars, everything else. And this is the problem. But I do think that in the Philippines they're going in the right direction. And if you think now, if President Duterte wasn't on office, why is crime has reduced 50% across the country?
Yes.
Through President Duterte. This is the main thing.
Death penalty. Do you agree that it should be imposed now? Is it the right time to impose in the Philippines?
For
the death penalty.
For drugs and...
Death penalty? No, I don't. I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't agree with it, and I'll tell you why. I don't think the country's ready for it at the moment. I'm thinking back the case of Never Give Up Tomorrow with the Filipino guy who apparently, I watched that film, they're involved in some rape, and there's 250 witnesses to say they were nowhere near the rape where it occurred. One of them is still in prison in Spain to this day. And this is the reason why Gloria abolished the death penalty, because they were going to be put to death. The problem is with the death penalty, once you've made that decision, you made a mistake, you can't turn it back. Yes, if you have 100% DNA, yes, for heinous crimes, if there is complete evidence, if it's indisputable, in certain circumstances, but generally no. But if you're 100% sure, and you have a confession, and you have unbelievable, overwhelming evidence with a jury, I also believe there needs to be a jury.
It's just,
because
isn't
unfortunately there are some judges who I'm sure could be susceptible to corruption.
I entirely agree with you.
Thank you, because I know a lot of people don't.
Agree with you. That penalty shouldn't be there unless the justice system is zero corrupt.
You only look at here with the Bentley, the guy who said let him have it. The one, if you remember the last hanging in the UK, was a guy called Bentley. He was on the roof of a building, and he said let him have it, and what he meant was hand over the gun. But of course, because he said let him have it or whatever, they thought he was going to say let him be shot, and he got hung, and they realized afterwards it was a mistake. You know, you can't bring a life back. There are people with mental problems, there are people who've been forced into drugs, forced into prostitution. You know, these are the kind of people you're not targeting. What you want to target are the people importing the drugs. And this is the issue. I'm not saying I'm totally against it, but I don't support it at the moment.
Bringing it back to President Duterte, when he was mayor of Davao, he cleaned the place up, right? So you were saying... I was hearing that also taxis and rapes, everything became regulated, so they made sure that these people are official, and he literally cut crime. It became like zero because he targeted these drug gangs. He even made sure like cars are parked facing buildings so people can't make getaways, you know, if they're doing robberies. Why do you think the Western world and other media sources, why do they display him in such a negative light?
Because President Duterte, again, won't stand for corruption. A lot of people were making a lot of money in the Philippines through a lot of illicit activities, and President Duterte has clamped that down. And going back to President Duterte in Davao, it was quite funny, because when I went to Davao last April, I left the airport and the taxi driver wouldn't start the engine. And I'm like, why not? He said, because you're not wearing a safety belt. Our mayor says that you must wear a safety belt.
Can you imagine?
Serious.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Can you imagine that here? Everybody understands how to behave. Davao is very clean, it's very, very safe. They have a 911 system. People say, yes, there's a lot of reporting of rape in Davao. Yes, that's true, because it's encouraged to be reported. Sometimes people in other cities are scared to report certain crimes, but through the Women and Children Department, through the excellent work that Mayor Inday Sara Duterte is doing, the Davao is a fantastic place in terms of business. Not only that, Qatar Airways have got a straight through flight to Davao. If they didn't endorse the country, the city, why would they do that? You know?
The president foreign policy is more like distancing the Philippines or from America and more leaning to China. What's your thought on that?
So, in terms of America, you can't deny the American involvement in history of the Philippines, and I don't think he's denying that too. But I also think that sometimes Western culture is not a good thing. The rap music, the swear, you know, there's good and bad in every culture, but sometimes I hear so many stories about a boy and girl in the province, they couldn't even hold hands till they got to 18. But now things have changed. You know, not everything American is good in terms of fast food and obesity and everything else. You know, I love America, but unfortunately, I think the president is right. They should have their own independent policy. They can't be dictated to. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano said the Philippines, the policy of the country is to be friends to everybody and enemies with no one. And I entirely agree with that with that policy.
The president threatened to withdraw from the United Nations if we have to. He even withdraw our country from the international justice. What do you call that? He withdraw our membership.
Yes.
Because of their interference. That's what he call it.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think Philippines can stand without this organization, like United Nations?
Completely. You know, America are withdrawn from the same organizations as well. You know, the thing is, politics is changing, and the softly approach is changing. Sometimes you need to stand up. Sometimes you need to defend your country. And what really angers me is there are so many yellows, so many negative Filipinos talking about the Philippines as a province of China. Absolutely ridiculous. President Duterte said this already. The Philippines is not ready to go to war with China. You know, the fact is you have to be humble. One of the best approaches is to be humble and wait for the right time. I don't believe anyone has got the right to force the president's hand on when he's starting to deal with China. Now he's starting to deal with China. He's going to China very, very soon, and he's going to speak to them in a certain way. And that's the best way. Diplomacy is the best way. You know, but the fact is, you know, President Duterte has inherited a problem with China. It's not of his doing. These little backdoor agreements with Trillanes and everything else were done long before the Duterte administration. He has to deal with the problem of a previous government, and that's the issue, you know. And the fact is, there's a lot of Chinese Filipinos. You can't discount that. You know, a lot of successful businessmen are Filipino Chinese. We shouldn't oust China. You know, we should work with China.
Duterte is known to be a womanizer. He always admit he has two wives. Is that okay to become a president?
You know, we're all human. You know, we're all human. You know, nobody can claim to be absolutely perfect. You know, even look at British politics with Boris Johnson, who again I have a lot of respect for, and I'm very pleased that he's become Prime Minister, and I send him my congratulations.
So you're saying
he's very
that it's
supportive
okay?
of Filipinos. I'm saying that everyone's got a story, everyone's human, you know, you can't be perfect. You know, the fact is that if President Duterte's happy with his family, which he seems very happy now, then good luck to him. All relationships break down of every single president, every single prime minister. The fact is the president is happy, his partner now is accompanying him on foreign trips. The daughter Kitty, they go around the country doing good works. You know, they are now a role model family because they're helping the country. They're not elitist, and this is a good thing. You know, why should it be anybody's business how President Duterte, what relationship he's in? He makes jokes. I admit that he makes jokes.
That's right.
But sometimes you need to make jokes. You can't be serious all the time. As he said, when you're speaking to a different audience, you need to speak in a different way. If you're speaking at a business conference, you need to speak to a different way. But if you're speaking in a social club, you know, that's politics.
Like what the president say, his womanizing is part of the biology. Let's go for a break. And we are back in the show. And let me just go back to what I just asked you just now, Malcolm. I want to rephrase that. I shouldn't use womanizing. I should have used part of woman. So he always said it's part of biology.
Of course it is, and all men, you know, we admire beauty. You know,
that's right.
There's nothing wrong in that. You know, as long as you're a good person, and the president is a good person, and this is the main thing. He cares about the country. You know, and everyone's got their own history in life. You know, the president's no different to any other man. He's not elitist. Again, he's not trying to pretend to be something he's not. He's a real person who generally cares for the Filipinos, cares for OFWs, and this is the main thing.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk to our OFW audience and ask you what you think life is like for Filipinos in the UK. So just kind of explain, get a gist for our OFWs. What do you think it's like, the Filipino community here, and the experience?
In the UK.
The Filipino community here is very strong, but the problem is a lot of people back home in the Philippines think life here is easy. It's not easy. There's rental, there's council tax, there's community charges, there's parking charges, there's so many things, there's so many expenses. You know, life is not easy in any country as an OFW.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing that concerns me is sometimes people abroad, yes, they rely on support, but if they want to go and spend money in the cinema and the mall and coffees and all these other things, you know, people need to be careful, because sometimes the money doesn't grow on trees. You know, I hear so many stories about Filipinos. They're scared to go home because they don't want to give £10,000 to their families.
The pasalubong
This is the thing, the pasalubong, you know. So,
Pasalubongs.
but I think, again, the country's going in the right direction. There are opportunities, but the problem is there's so many scammers. The bottom line, to my dear friends, is if anyone asks you for even one penny, if you're applying for a job, it's a scam. If anyone says, send me £10, send me £5, send me a visa fee, you are being scammed. Anyone who needs any advice, you can contact any of us and we'll let you know. There are so many scams out there. You know, it is almost impossible, unless you're a nurse or a doctor, it's almost impossible to come to the UK as a domestic worker. You can do it in the Middle East, do it in Canada, but it's not me, it's the government. The British government do not give visas to non-EU migrants.
Let me go back to the president again. Have you met the president or any of his close staff or something?
You know, I'm very, very grateful. I'm very, very grateful to then ASEC Mokaruson, the Mokaruson blog. I just wanted to say hi to everyone from the Mokaruson blog group. Hi to Byron, hi to Mokaruson. You know, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity. Mokaruson decided of having a bloggers Christmas party, which I think was a fantastic initiative, because it brought all of the bloggers together in the country, thinking Pinoy, Mark Lopez.
Say hi to Mocha. Mocha, hi.
Hi, Mocha.
Hi.
So, and I know you guys are watching, and maraming salamat po.
Sana makarating ka dito sa London at makapanayam ka rin namin dito sa BFC channel dito sa London.
So yeah, so I'm very grateful. I had the opportunity to meet the president, and when I met him, I was the first person there. It was in the golf club in the palace, and I was the first person there. I arrived about 3 hours early, and I was just kind of sitting there. And you know, when the helicopter landed for the president to arrive, when the president came into the room, I felt a sense of elation. You know, I get quite emotional now to meet the president in person. To be able to shake his hand and thank him for what he's doing for the Filipino people, including my own family, is truly the greatest honor. And I cannot get over the enormity. I know so many Filipinos want to meet the president, but I can't get over the enormity of being able to meet him in person. And that evening he shook my hand 5 times.
Really?
And he said, thank you so much for what you're doing, and I want to wish your family a Merry Christmas. And that meant so much to me.
Of course.
I truly feel an affinity to the president. I was very grateful to have a presidential watch, which I'm very grateful for, and I wear this with pride. I wear this with honor, and I'm very grateful. He's a man who cares. He's not some killer, as they say in the media. He's a humble guy who's a caring guy, understanding, and meeting him was the greatest opportunity of my life, and one of which I'm forever grateful for.
When are you going to the Philippines again? Do you have any plan?
I'm going in 3 weeks.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm very grateful, because I went to a Barrio Fiesta. There's a lot of Barrio Fiestas here.
That's where we met, at the Barrio,
and
didn't
it
we?
was the Philly Barrio Fiesta, and they had a raffle draw.
Yeah.
And you know, my mum's not very well at the moment. She's quite sick at the moment. And during the Barrio Fiesta, I bought some raffle tickets before I left. I bought £10 worth of raffle tickets. I then left to buy some shopping for my mum. So I travelled to North London, bought some shopping for my mum. I still had the ticket in my pocket. I thought, shall I go home or shall I come back? I caught a taxi back. I go show my raffle ticket. They said, that's the winning ticket.
Oh my goodness.
And there's only one ticket. That's the winning ticket.
Is it?
So I went to Philippine Airlines. I now have 2 return tickets to Manila. I'm visiting a very good friend of mine. I have a very packed schedule. Apparently some guys want to meet me, some of my supporters, which I'm looking forward to. You know, I love the Philippines. To me, the Philippines is the greatest place on earth.
So what makes the Philippines so great for you? What's the best experience you've had in the Philippines?
You know, I love Philippine culture. I love the Philippine accent. I love Philippine food. I love the people. They're caring, they're humble, they're friendly. They're a country that always
You're
smiles.
married to a Filipina?
Yes.
When did you meet her?
I met her in the UK over 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
So we've been married for 21 years now.
Does she have kids?
We have 2 kids. We have a boy and a girl. My daughter's 23, my son is 21.
Amazing.
You know, the thing is, people say to me, why are you talking about the Philippines? You're not Filipino. My godchildren are in the Philippines, my wife's family. You know, I have relatives in the Philippines. We send money back home on a monthly basis.
That's right.
This means I'm a stakeholder, because I'm contributing towards the Philippine
Yes,
economy.
that's
When I'm
right,
there, I'm
yeah.
buying stuff, I'm buying utilities.
Yeah.
So that means I'm a contributor towards the Philippines.
Oh, and when I interviewed you at Barrio Fiesta, you said to me that in your heart you feel Filipino. You were
Yes.
saying to me, yeah.
I feel I was not a Filipino in a former life, but somewhere in my soul, I believe I have an affinity to the Filipino people. And it's something that, as much as I try and not get out of, it's not the right word, but as much, it's almost an obsession, you know, as much as I try and just completely forget about the Philippines, I feel drawn to the Filipino people.
That's a beautiful thing.
Right. Let's talk about other side of the Philippines. Manila. You heard about ISCO.
Yes.
What is ISCO comparable to the previous mayors? What can you say?
It would be wrong of me to talk about the previous mayors of Manila too much. All I can talk about is my 55 visits to the Philippines. All I can talk about is the country, and it'll talk about Manila in terms of improvements. I don't want to be tripping over a sidewalk. I don't want to be waiting 5 hours in a traffic jam. What I've seen so far is that this particular mayor seems to be doing an excellent job. And I've even said that I think one day, not now, I've been criticised for this, not now, I believe one day, I believe that he's good presidential material.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it, you know, because he stamps out corruption. Anyone who's corrupt, he sacks them. There's going to be no more bribery. You know, I've had it myself. I've been in a car and some police officers come up
Pulled
to
you
me and tried
over.
to get money.
Yeah.
That's right.
He sacked somebody the other day immediately for doing that.
Yeah.
You know, the Philippines is getting in the right direction. Manila's getting in the right direction through this mayor, and I wish him my very best and my congratulations.
Yeah, Mayor ISCO is surely doing the right thing. But what annoys me is that, it takes one ISCO Moreno for all the mayors to follow. Most of them, those mayors who won now, they have been there for 30 years. As I said, it's only take one ISCO Moreno to clean Manila.
But I also believe they're learning from the Duterte family and in terms of cleaning up Davao.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot less corruption. I think things have definitely, through the
That's
lead
right,
of President
that's right,
Duterte,
that's right.
things have definitely improved as well.
Well, before we gonna end up our show, we still have one. Can we have another break, please? All right, we are back in the show. Before we continue with Mr. Malcom Conlan, can we just greet our viewers again? Mr. Conlan?
Yeah, so I've been looking at all the Facebook comments, and we are truly very grateful. I'm so grateful to the team here for an incredible job. I think this is really the way forward. These are hard-working people in the UK who want to demonstrate Philippine culture and improve life for all Filipinos, and I'm very, very grateful. So I'd like to say hi to Dawang, thank you so much, to Josephina, it's my honor to defend the President as much as I can, to Gloria, UK DDS, maraming salamat for your support for DDS UK, all the other DDS groups in the world, DDS New York, the Mokrusum blog group. I just wanted to say hi. Thanks so much, guys. We're truly overwhelmed. To people in Saudi Arabia, Australia, Toronto, Korea. Wow, amazing. So many
Wow, the viewers
Wow.
from everywhere. Thank you
Thanks for
guys.
watching, guys.
Salamat.
Thanks for
you.
Thank you
watching.
guys.
Gusto ko rin batiin yung mga viewers natin dyan na nagpapa-shout out. Si Doris Disamito. Hello, kumusta kayo dyan? At saka yung viewers natin from San Jacinto, Pangasinan. Josie Kasopang, kumusta po kayo? At syempre, lagi kong binabati ang mga mahal nating kababayan dyan sa bayan ng Pangasinan. Puso Robio, magandang gabi!
Lovely to see you guys. I wanted to say thank you to all the OFWs for watching today. Do you have any special projects coming up as well, Malcolm? Anything in the pipeline in your few days?
I'm actually would like to sit down with Malcolm, perhaps we can have a show like this once a week or
I would be very happy to discuss communities.
Malcom is there.
I'm very grateful, and I'd like to shake your hand and say thank you so much for what you're
Well,
doing.
thank you,
and
guys.
for you too. You know, for Biggie Travels, big you guys up. You know, you're doing a great job.
Big news.
This is the way forward. You know, forget all the negative press and the media want to bash. This is the way forward to tell the real truth, because we've seen it. We live in the UK. We experience this. You know, this is what people need to hear, rather than all the negative press and all the bashers.
Before we end up our show, can we have fast talk? How about that? Something like that. All right.
I'm terrified.
It's hard to skip to be.
Terrified but excited.
All right, let's start it. Keep calm. Sip of water. Right.
Sip of water, can I do that?
Right. Fast talk.
Fast talk.
In one word, describe Filipinos.
Incredible.
Hey, ching.
What's the best policy of President Duterte for you?
War on drugs, cleaning up the drugs issue in the Philippines.
Do you believe he's involved in EGK? Yes or no?
No.
No. Are you in favor of divorce to be implemented in the Philippines?
In certain circumstances, yes, but I appreciate that the Philippines is a Catholic country and I respect that.
Which is better for the Philippines, America or China?
China.
Right. Are you in favor of death penalty? Yes or no?
No.
Jollibee or McDonald's?
Johnny B, a million percent.
Hey,
55
crispy.
times. Shout out to the guys in Johnny BL's court.
Are you a fan of Chris Aquino?
I like Chris's movie work. You know, I'm a big fan of Philippine culture, and I must say I try and separate culture and politics. You know, and that'll be controversial, but I've seen the whole thing. But I do like what she did previously in terms of movie work and nothing else.
Who's your next president?
Inday Sara Duterte.
Ladies and gentlemen, we heard our guest today, Mr. Expressing his views, opinions. In fact, he has a Filipino heart, more than British. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Lovely
you.
for
I've
having me.
enjoyed this very much immensely.
It's been amazing.
I hope we can
Thank you.
have you back here again.
Thank you. It will be a real honour, and thanks so much to the team here who've looked after
Thank
me
you
so
for your
well.
Marco.
I'm most grateful.
Before I say bye to our viewers, you have to say to viewers.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching us. We really appreciate the OFW community. I actually went yesterday to watch Hello, Love, Goodbye as well.
Oh,
And,
tonight.
You're watching it tonight. I won't spoil it. I
Incredible.
won't spoil it for you, but it was incredible. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was so good. I shed a tear in the cinema.
I always shed a tear in our cinema movies. They have this philosophy that will make you cry.
Yeah.
Right, next week po na kami sa Hong Kong para makisalamuha sa ating mga kababayan ng OFW sa Hong Kong. 17 po, nandiyan kami. Siyempre, nalalapit na rin ang aming pag-uwi dyan sa Pilipinas, particular Pangasinan. Abangan niyo po ang gaganaping shooting o filming dyan sa Pangasinan.
Let's get it.
Bago po kami magpaalam, final word.
Can I just give a shout out to my family here in the Philippines? I know watching, and thank you so much to all my Filipino friends. Maraming salamat. Thank you from the bottom of my for everything you're doing, to all the OFWs around the world. Thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you for everything you're doing. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay Philippines.
Mabuhay. Yan lamang po, mga mahal naming taga-subaybay. Hanggang sa muli. Ng Kuya Freddy Temple. Dito lang sa Let's Talk About It, the channel sa London. Nagpupugay.
Over and out.